Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, The Science Behind the Prize, 2025 Nobel Physiology or Medicine Roundtable. My name is Maja Medjević-Pavlović, and I will be your host today. Before we start, I would like to inform you that this meeting has been recorded, and you will be able to access to this record after the meeting if you are logged in inside forum. Today, we have an excellent lineup of speakers and discussion ahead, so let's get started. At the beginning, I would like to briefly introduce you MDPI. As you probably know, MDPI is a pioneer in scholarly open access publishing, and we support academic communities since 1996. Based in Basel, Switzerland, MDPI has the mission to foster open scientific exchange in all forms across all disciplines. Our 488 diverse and open access journals included 479 peer-reviewed and 9 conference journals, are supported by more than 295,000 academic experts who share our mission, values, and commitment to providing high-quality services for our authors. Today's webinar is brought to you by 3 MDPI journals: Biology, Cancers, and Antioxidants, and I would like to take this opportunity to present these journals as well. Biology is an international peer-reviewed open access journal of biological science published monthly online by MDPI. The Spanish Society for Nitrogen Fixation and Federation of European Laboratory Animal Science Associations are affiliated with this journal, and their members receive discounts on the article processing charges. Biology provides high visibility since this journal is indexed within Scopus, PubMed, Web of Science, and other databases. When it comes to journal rank, Biology is rank Q1 in JCR for biology and rank Q1 in SciScore for general agriculture and biological science. Cancers is peer-reviewed open access journal of oncology published semi-monthly online by MDPI. The Irish Association for Cancer Research, Spanish Association for Cancer Research, Biomedical Research Center, British Neuro-Oncology Society, and Spanish Group for Cancer Immunobiotherapy are affiliated with Cancers, and their members receive discounts on the article processing charges. Cancers provides high visibility since this journal is also indexed within Scopus, PubMed, Web of Science, SciFinder, and other databases. Cancers is rank Q2 in JCR for oncology and rank Q1 in SciScore for oncology. And Antioxidants is an international peer-reviewed open access journal published monthly online by MDPI. The International Coenzyme Q10 Association, Israel Society for Oxygen and Free Radical Research, and European Academy for Molecular Hydrogen Research are affiliated with this journal, and their members receive discounts on the article processing charge. Journal Antioxidants provides high visibility since it's indexed within Scopus, PubMed, Web of Science, and other databases. Finally, when it comes to journal rank, Antioxidants is ranked Q1 in JCR for chemistry and medicinal, and Q1 in SciScore for food science. Here you can see the brief overview of today's webinar. After opening remarks, we will have our first discussion, and our topic will be breakthroughs and future impacts of physiology or medicine research. After 5 minutes break, we will state the prize winner, and then we have our second discussion, what the Nobel Prize means for science and society. Finally, we will wrap up with closing remarks. As I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, today we have 3 distinguished experts, and let me introduce them to you. Firstly, Professor Dr. Jacek Kubiak from Institute of Genetic and Development of Rennes, France. He's our section editor-in-chief of Journal Biology. Then Professor Dr. Carlos Moreno from Emory University School of Medicine, Atlanta, USA, who is our section editor-in-chief of Cancers. And Professor Dr. Klaus Jacob from University of Saarland, Germany, who is section editor-in-chief of Antioxidants. Thank you very much for joining us today. Okay, let's start with our first session. Let's speak about topic breakthroughs and future impacts of physiology or medical research. We prepared a few questions and we would like to hear your answers to these questions. So let's start with the first one. Please tell us about your area of expertise and how you have contributed to physiology or medicine research through your work. Professor Kubiak, would you like to start?
Yes, of course. Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this discussion following the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 2025. I'm a developmental biologist who is mostly interested in cell cycle regulation, and I have as a model, one of the model I work on is these are immune cells, macrophages and monocytes. So because of this involvement in macrophages biology, I have some insight into the subject which won the Nobel Prize this year. But of course, I am not involved in exactly this kind of research related to T-cell immunology. What can I say? I work also on embryonic cells, because it's a good model to study the molecular interactions between genes, products, proteins involved in cell cycle regulation. I think that would be this for a while.
Thank you very much. Professor Dr. Moreno, would you like to answer our first question?
Sure, yes. So my area of expertise is in cancer genomics and bioinformatics and development of biomarkers. I have been working mostly in prostate cancer, but also in some other types of cancer. And the work that we've been, doing since we do gene expression profiling and genomic analyses, as the trends have clearly swung in the direction of immunotherapy and cancer research, I have some understanding of what the implications are in this Nobel Prize that was awarded today, and I am quite pleased with the results, and I think it's yeah. So anyway, thank you again for having me here, and yeah, I think I'll leave it with that.
Thank you very much. And Professor Dr. Jacob, would you maybe like to present your expertise to us as well?
Yes, most certainly. Well, thank you very much, Maya, and also thank you for inviting me to represent here the antioxidants journal in a way and raise a bit of this. It is a pleasure to be part of this webinar. My research, as you may imagine, has to do with redox regulation. So I'm actually coming from the chemistry redox side of things, and my research has been throughout the years on reactive species, reactive sulfur species, redox regulation in cellular organisms such as the intracellular thiol stat, and also looking at redox changes and how this can be used to develop medications. So we have looked at sensor effector agents that are able to recognize certain redox signatures in cells, especially in cancer cells. This is quite an interesting topic because cancer cells, like immune cells, are often under oxidative stress, which sets them a little bit apart from other cells and gives us a handle to change things. More recently, we have looked at disease prevention, at nutrition, and there is the antioxidant story in a way coming in, how this can be used. And that's a very topical topic in a way, because we have an aging society and we need to look how we can use maybe nutrition and nutraceuticals as a kind of a preventive medication rather than doing polydrug approaches and polymedication approaches.
Thank you very much. Also, I would like to ask you directly the second question. What in your opinion, have been some of the major breakthroughs in physiology or medicine research in recent years? And how has the Nobel Prize reflected these breakthroughs in the past? Professor Dr. Jacob, I believe you can continue.
Okay, I may continue. Yes, I mean, there have been quite a few developments in the last couple of years, and especially some of them, like on the regulatory level, molecular level, have been quite important. We have seen microRNA and also mRNA developments, and this has been quite important for the development of vaccinations, for instance, against COVID. There has been a Nobel Prize already for that one in 2023. But this shows you how fast this field is developing, and I think this idea of regulation on the molecular level, and here we have a similar Nobel Prize this time, is very, very important for our understanding how physiology in generally and also medicine works. And I think there are a lot of opportunities still there, because we are not really on that level of how really molecules determine the outcome of cellular processes. I hope that with the rise of artificial intelligence and the ability to handle big data, big amounts of data, we will be able to get more to the bottom of those networks and regulatory networks in the future. But I think that has been a development which has been around for the last 10 to 15 years. And also the work for this Nobel Prize is even a bit older. It goes back to 2001, as far as I know. It's clearly a hot topic, and it's quite right. I agree with my colleagues that this has been a good time to award a Nobel Prize for this work.
Thank you very much. Professor Dr. Kubiak, would you like to respond on our second question? I can repeat that if you would like.
Yes, I agree with Klaus that the most important, I think, for medicine and physiology was the Nobel Prize, which was attributed to the people who participated in mRNA vaccines against COVID, against SARS-CoV-2, but also in the cancer area. This kind of vaccination will develop very fast, even if the American authorities stopped the federal funding of this research for ideological reasons. But I think this was the most important discovery, which found immediately application, which helped to stop these terrible pandemics of COVID-19. So definitely this is the most important discovery. And of course, all this was possible because of the research of thousands of researchers working on molecular mechanisms involved in physiology and in pathologies of cells and different disease, and the understanding of at the molecular level, how all the machinery involved in life is orchestrated and regulated.
Thank you very much. Professor Dr. Carlo Moreno, could you please respond to our second question?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the more important breakthroughs that's been recently awarded was for the discovery of immunotherapy approaches to cancer, which has had a major impact in the field and has driven many new therapies that are in the clinic now and have improved outcomes for many patients. So I would say that was certainly a key and important breakthrough that's had very tangible effects. I would on the more fundamental basic areas, there have been also key Nobel awards on telomerase and on microRNAs and RNA interference. All of those have had, important impacts on our understanding of both cancer and biology in general. So I think those have all been important breakthroughs and well-deserved awards.
Sure. Thank you very much. Let's continue with the third question. Professor Moreno, what are some of the key trends driving innovation in physiology or medicine research today? We already speak a little bit about that. And what will be the future impact of this innovation? I'm sorry.
Well, I think one of them is the increasing ability for genomic sequencing of and personalized therapies for patients. And it's now at the single cell level, which is providing incredible new insights on many areas. And I believe that is going to really impact both the diagnosis and the personalized treatment of patients over time. It already is to some extent. And I think that as time goes on, we'll see more and more effects of personalized medicine and genomic sequencing of those patients in a routine basis. I mean, it may be that you go in for a routine cancer screening test where they just take your blood and sequence it to see if you have any cancer. So, and in catching them remarkably early and in providing insights into how to treat them. So, I think that is certainly an big trend that is going forward and that will have impacts for a long period of time.
Thank you very much. Professor Dr. Kubiak, would you like to add something?
Yeah, sure. I agree with Carlos that these are very important points. I just would to add maybe a microRNA studies, which opened already an additional level of to understanding of additional level of gene expression control, and I think that it will be growing a growing area which will allow to control and regulate the gene expressions in patients too. So, but of course, we have to know all basic data about how these microRNAs work and when we can try to apply them in the medicine. And in another area which is related with the Nobel Prize of today is the development of immunotherapy in cancers, for instance, when the regulatory T cells will be modified, used, and applied in therapies. So this will certainly open the possibility of the new treatments, personalized treatments of cancers, because the regulatory T cells play a very important role in not only in autoimmune disease, which is the basic thing for their action, but also in regulating cancer cells.
Thank you very much. Professor Dr. Jacob, would you like to add something as well?
Yes, my pleasure. So again, I'm coming from the field of nutrition, redox regulation. And there are two real important topics. On the one hand, you have the microscopic topic where you have mechanistic studies, how molecules regulate, and I think I mentioned this before. On the other hand, you have the society as a whole, and in many, especially Western societies, but not only there, we have an aging population, and I think the structure of the population is changing. And if you look at the biochemistry textbooks, you will find that this biochemistry textbook is more or less for a 20-year-old male or female, but it doesn't reflect the aging population anymore. And I think we need to really be a lot more differentiated in when we look at the physiology of our population. And we have a geriatric population, especially as I said, in Germany and Europe, but also in the United States, Japan, and many other countries where you have a large sway of population which is very old, over 80, and their biochemistry is different. So I agree with what was said before, that we go to the personalized, individual biochemistry and physiology, and also medication. And I think that is a very important topic. And the immune system, of course, plays a major role, especially when you get older and older, because you are more and more prone to attracting all kind of infections and other kind of diseases. And I guess that is a big topic for the next decade or two. And again, AI tools may help you to personalize really your own physiological development, and also the medication side of it and the nutritional side of it for the prevention of diseases. I think these are big sites where research is actually required, and I'm sure it will happen.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Okay, Professor Dr. Kubek, let's jump to the last question for this section. What was your prediction for the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine this year, and what sort of scholar and regarding what topic did you think it should be awarded to?
So I think that the prize for Branko, Ramsdell, and Sakaguchi was the perfect choice, but I'm still waiting for a Nobel Prize for Davor Solter and Azim Surani, who discovered the genomic imprinting process, which is also involved in regulation of Treg cells. Because these two and many other researchers found that the genome of mother and father is imprinted in a particular way due to methylation of DNA. So means without changing the sequence of nucleotides, without changing the genetic information which is in the DNA. And the research started by them allowed to understand how the genes are, the expression of genes is regulated at the molecular level, mostly due to methylation of DNA and methylation of histones. And this discovery was started in 80s, 90s, last century, and it is not yet it was not, how to say, granted by Nobel Prize, but I think it is really important to recognize this discovery because it has an impact on many aspects of biology and medicine.
Thank you very much. Maybe next time. We will see.
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Professor Dr. Carlos Moreno, could you please respond to our question about your prediction for the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine this year?
Well, I've stopped trying to predict what the Nobel Committee will choose, but I'm generally, when they do make a choice, I'm generally in full agreement that it was a good one. There are so many incredible discoveries that have been made that are well deserving, and there's only one prize a year, so it's a little hard to get to everybody. But yeah, I mean, I think that well, some of the prizes that I think that are coming actually may fall more under the chemistry than the medicine. So those are some of the ones that I was thinking about that are more technologically oriented, like single cell sequencing, I think is probably going to be coming up pretty soon, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But yeah, I think that there are just a lot of I didn't really have a prediction. It's too hard to know.
Thank you very much. Professor Dr. Jacob, did you have any prediction about the winner?
Well, I had the prediction that it won't be me. So and I was 100% right, spot on. It wasn't me. So that is good news already. But apart from that, I mean, of course, the money is always at the moment when you look from the therapeutic side. It's a lot on vaccination. There is still this COVID story with the highlights of research which happened then, and I was in a way, sort of thinking that maybe something like this comes up, but then again, we had a Nobel Prize for Karenko and Weissman already on this topic. So this one is definitely well deserved, and I think it reflects the research and the state of the art that we are in the field. It would be nice maybe for the redox community to get a Nobel Prize at some stage, because we missing out a lot. The other topics that comes up, in my opinion, and that I would have probably thought will come sooner or later, is nanotechnology and all these wonderful research avenues that are at the moment explored, of making these small vesicles, lipids, and other nanostructures intelligent, so they can recognize diseases and treat them like artificial immune cells, if you want to call it like this, and using this kind of nanotechnology, where I think there has been a lot of really groundbreaking work in the last 2 or 3 decades, and that again, that may have deserved it. But as I say, I fully agree that these 3 have done some excellent job in also with a huge impact on therapy, and I think that is certainly worth the reward. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for providing us with your replies. We will have a short break now, just a few minutes. And after that, we will continue to speak about the winners and about the Nobel Prize. Thank you very much and see you soon. Okay, let's speak in more details now about the winners of Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine this year. As you already mentioned, the winners are Mary E. Branco, Fred Ramsdell, and Shimon Sakaguchi for their discoveries concerning perifetal immune tolerance. These scientists discovered regulation T cells, a crucial part of the immune system that prevent it from attacking the body's own tissue. Sakaguchi first identified these cells in 1995, and later researchers by Branco and Ramsdell linked gene mutation to autoimmune disease. Sakaguchi then connected these genes to the development of regulatory T cells, confirming their role in preventing autoimmunity. Congratulations to these winners. And let's speak now about what the Nobel Prize means for science and society. Okay, let's start with Professor Moreno. Professor Moreno, what are your thoughts on the winners of the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine this year? And why do you think they will be chosen, and why is their research so significant to the field? We already speak a little bit about this topic, but we can do now this in more details.
Sure, yeah. So this discovery of regulatory T cells, or Tregs, really has had a huge impact in many areas of medicine, both in autoimmune diseases, transplantation, type 1 diabetes, muscular dystrophy, as well as in cancer, which is more my area of research. So you have because Tregs help prevent the human immune system from attacking itself. Having too little Treg activity can result in autoimmune disease, and having too much can be a way that tumors can avoid the immune system. And so in the area of cancer research, it's had a significant impact because there are trials now that are applying medicines such as immune checkpoint inhibitors in combination with that are now the standard of care, in combination with bevacizumab, which is the VEGF inhibitor for angiogenesis, and it's been just recently shown that these patients have as a biomarker of effect, a benefit of that, a big biomarker of that is the abundance of Tregs. So the presence of FOXP3, which is a marker of Tregs, allows us to know whether or not patients will respond to these therapies. And in addition, further studies that work on sort of eliminating the Tregs or reducing the activity of the Tregs in the tumors shows a potential for even more benefit in terms of stimulating the immune system to attack the cancers. And similarly, with using PARP inhibitors for patients that have mutations in BRCA1 or BRCA2 for ovarian cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, there's real potential for combining that with a targeting of Tregs and improving even more the benefits that those patients will have from that. So the impacts have been substantial and will continue to be going forward as we understand better how immune tolerance is maintained and controlled and how we can manipulate it to both reduce the tolerance against tumors and increase it for those who have hyperactive immune systems.
Thank you very much for providing us with your reply. Professor Dr. Kubiak, what do you think? What actually are your thoughts on the winners of the Nobel Prize this year?
Of course, I agree with Carlos, who summarized very well the importance of this discovery. And I just want to mention that the Nobel Prize winners represent a very nice, beautiful scientific story describing how the discovery is taking place. That first of all, people have to imagine a hypothesis and try to find if their hypothesis is right or wrong. And it was done by Shimon Saguchi, who has shown by experiments in mice. By the way, all the three Nobel Prize winners worked initially on mice model, on the mouse model, showing that it's very important to work on some simple model than directly on humans, and just you have to interpolate the results which you obtain on some model animals or model cells to human disease. So this story started by Sakaguchi, who has shown that there is not only the central control in thymus of the destiny of lymphocytes, but also that there is some additional regulation. And it has shown that what we are working on now in molecular biology is how the regulations work, in fact. All kind of regulations. And in my field, in cell cycle, it's very well presented also that you need this hypothesis and then you have to verify your hypothesis. And of course, there are many obstacles because there are different results which are contradictory. And you have to find a way to prove or disapprove the hypothesis you have in mind. And Sakaguchi has shown that most probably at that time there is another level of regulation, and the discovery of Branco and Ransel that the gene FOXP3 is involved in a kind of autoimmune disease in the mouse was a breakthrough because it allowed to put together these two discoveries and to finally to show that these Treg cells which were discovered by Sakaguchi yes are driven by by FOXP3 gene, which is a transcription factor. It means a kind of master regulator of genes involved in physiology of these cells. And this was not easy task because among others, that this study started when we didn't have, when they didn't have enough possibilities, the technical and methodological possibilities which we have today. And in addition, there are at least 3 or 4 FOXP genes, which are also transcription factors, but they are involved in the regulation of other tissues like neurons and brain. To find this, that one of them is specifically involved in the regulation of Tregs, and that this gene plays a major role, was a breakthrough, allowing to put together all these puzzles together, and to present the discovery, which is now awarded by the Nobel Prize.
Thank you very much for such a great response to this question. Thank you very much. Thanks, Professor Moreno, too. And Professor Jacob, what do you think about these questions?
It's not much more to add. I mean, most of
Okay.
in quite detail, the biochemistry has also been made clear with the FOXP3, the master regulation. And it's amazing, really. I agree how from the scurvy mouse phenotype we can get to such a variety of possible treatments. And once more, I think this the discoveries behind this, they will have a long-lasting impact on our way we treat many diseases. We have already been hearing about cancer, but of course the autoimmune diseases, and the immune system in a way is indeed central to our health. I mean, it's the best medication you can have. I mean, everything else that you produce in pharmacy is just a little helper, whereas your immune system with you already, and you don't have to get it delivered, and you don't normally, and this is where the Nobel Prize comes in, normally you also don't have an adverse effect, and which you have with virtually every kind of drug that you take. Whereas your immune system, if you keep it in check, and if you keep it healthy and you stimulate it, with antioxidants, for instance, or with nutrition, the immune system is the best medication that you can have. And I think that is a clear reflection on why this Nobel Prize is so important for many reasons, not only for the physiology, but also, of course, for the treatment of a wide variety of diseases. I also have to agree that this has been in the making. I mean, if you look at the history of this, the work goes back to the 1990s, and then we have these two different groups, to make sense of each other's discovery. And indeed, there has been sort of already a kind of an indication that this may be right, because we had the Crawford Prize in 2017 for Ramsdell and Sakaguchi at that time, for those two only. But now we have the Nobel Prize for those two, and of course together with Branko. So that's a really nice story also in science, not only for the medicine, but also how science works, and what kind of impact we can have on everyday life. And I'm really looking forward to more research in this field. I think it really set the scene, and it also rewarded a particular area of biochemistry, which is really important for our understanding, and also for our way we address many diseases that are around and that will haunt us for the next couple of decades to come.
Thank you very much. And we have just one question more in this part. So Professor Kubiak, let's start with you, if you agree. What broader significance does the Nobel Prize hold for society, and how may it shape our collective future beyond the scientific community?
So as already mentioned by all of us, the most important for the society will be the possibilities which are opened by this discovery to treat autoimmune disease. and cancer. These two groups of disease, which are central. But of course, we may discover soon many other possibilities because, of course, the regulation of the immune system is very important for not only for disease but also for the homeostasis of our organism. So definitely, this Nobel Prize will show to the society that the basic science and the basic research may give fruits which are very important for all of us, for the society, and for our better life, and are of course, all new possibilities which are already open and which will be open will speak about this. So for the scientific community, it's important to, as I already said, that this story and Klaus repeated also this, that this Nobel Prize is related with a very nice, very beautiful scientific story, how to discover new things, starting from the beginning when we don't know what really happened, and then we can say this gene regulates, is a master regulator of this process and of these cells. So both the society and the general society and the scientific community will profit from this Nobel Prize, definitely.
Okay, thank you very much. Professor Dr. Moreno, what do you think about what broader significance does the Nobel Prize hold for society?
Well, I think in the broader significance, another aspect of the Nobel Prize is that it reminds the general public the importance of fundamental research. And this is a prize that's given for really fundamental basic research, which is typically driven through research in universities, and in this case, at a nonprofit as well. And that type of work can only happen with public support and public support for funding of scientific and medical research, and which is right now, at least in the United States, it's having a rather tough time. So I think it's important to remind the public about how these breakthroughs really have an important impact in their lives and in improving outcomes for patients and survivorship for patients with chronic and terminal diseases. So I think that's another important aspect of the Nobel Prize, and hopefully it will burst into some people's bubbles about their information bubbles about the importance of science and understanding it and how it really does affect them.
Thank you very much. Professor Dr. Jacob, would you like to add something?
I think adding is difficult because most of the things have been said. I mean, the impact on medicine and on therapeutics, on dealing with diseases, especially in an aging society or in a society where diseases like cancer and also autoimmune diseases are ripe and are increasing. I mean, besides infectious diseases, of course, which is a different topic, but I mean, the main diseases we are facing at the moment fall in this field where the Nobel Prize has, of course, a certain relevance, and the immune system has a certain relevance. Beside this, what is really important for society, apart from maybe getting some treatments out of this for their ailments, is the fact that basic research matters. And I think that is often forgotten. It's forgotten by governments. I mean, that is something which I really don't envy you over the Atlantic in the United States. I mean, Europe, at least at the moment, tries to pump a lot more funding into basic research, which is okay, but it's by far not enough. So that is something society needs to realize. This is a constant reminder, this Nobel Prize, that we are there and we do things that impact on people's daily life. That's not given. If you ask our neighbor here, what is Professor Jacob doing? They think I sleep the whole day because I don't leave the house. So, this all the stuff we do in the lab and all the stuff we do online is sometimes not appreciated. So society as a whole needs to realize research matters. And it's not only applied research, but also basic. And that's also something the funding agencies sometimes are a bit short-sighted, because I guess, and this was nicely discussed before by my fellow speakers, this was an accidental discovery in a way at the very beginning. It was not planned. There was a hypothesis, and then it was tested, and this takes time, and there is no clear aim to develop a product at the very beginning, but it's serendipity. And that research, unfortunately, at the moment is not really that supported anymore. So I think it's important that society, the funding agencies, but also the government appreciates this, because most of really good discoveries happen by accident.
May I add something?
Sure,
Just few words, because I realized that we didn't mention a field of transplantology, which will profit from this discovery, because of course in transplantology, immunology plays a major role to, and I'm sure that in the near future we will find an important role for Tregs in acute and chronic rejection of organs after being transplanted. So I think that this will also push the transplantology, not only the disease which we have mentioned, but also the procedure of transplantation of different organs, which will be improved in future.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask all of you, would you maybe like to add something? Maybe we missed to ask some question that you maybe like to answer. Is this something that we maybe missed to mention, but it's important for this topic? Professor Moreno, would you maybe like to add something?
Well, I would say one thing that's rather interesting about this year's Nobel Prize is that the work of the two American laureates, Dr. Brunkow and Dr. Ramsdell, was done at a biotech company. It was actually not done at a university. It was done at Celtech, which is rather unusual, but could be a potential trend in the future, as more and more of the young PhDs that are graduating with their degrees are going to do cutting-edge research in the private sector or at nonprofits. And that is, I think, something that is rather a relatively new thing. It takes time, so these Nobel Prizes are generally given for something that happened 20, 30 years ago. And so I anticipate that, as time goes on, there's definitely been some groundbreaking work that has come from the private sector and from nonprofit research institutions, not just from universities. So that's one aspect that's a little different this time.
Yeah, very interesting point. And thank you very much for mentioning this. Professor Kubiak and Professor Jacob, would you maybe like to add something about this topic or anything else that we didn't mention so far?
Yes, I think that this Nobel Prize will stimulate also studies in many related fields like DNA methylation, and because it shows that why methylation? Because FOXP3 is regulated by methylation of DNA in a very important way. So I think that the prize for the discovery of the role of FOXP3 will stimulate further studies on the role of epigenetic regulation of genes expression.
Thank you very much. Professor Jacob, would you maybe like to add something before we close this webinar?
Just to add what Carlos has said is absolutely right. I mean, a lot of my younger colleagues, they simply set up small foundations or things, and they do research in the sort of semi-private sector with fundraising. So there are new models of how to do scientific research. The world is obviously changing. And there may be new ways of doing research in the future, which is outside the university. And this is exactly right. And if you look where the vaccination story, where COVID vaccinations have come from, this was also mostly from smaller or medium-sized spin-out companies and startups, and that's an interesting model. The other thing, and we've discussed that these discoveries happen by not by accident, but sometimes you have to be on your guard of what you observe. And I think there the human factor is very important, because we always now say that artificial intelligence will get the Nobel Prize next year, and I think that's not right. Because artificial intelligence would not make mistakes, or it doesn't like to make mistakes, and it doesn't like to be surprised. And I think this getting surprised by nature and then making the best of it is something that is typically human, and that artificial intelligence can't do. So I hope that this Nobel Prize will stimulate the youngsters among us to join the field of physiology and medicine, of course, and to stay tuned, because we always see that at the moment that most of the young people look at fine arts rather than going into natural sciences. And this is really a good statement to look. There are natural scientists that do something really good for society and join the show in a way. And I hope that gives you also a bit of impetus for our next generation of scientists. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we wrap up this webinar, Professor Moreno, there is one question in our chat box for you. Let's open our chat box.
So
if you, please
go
continue.
ahead.
Okay. So if you understand well, the question is, which universities are involved with the research project you mentioned earlier?
Well, there's, I mean, the work that that Dr. Sakaguchi conducted from the beginning to now is at Osaka University in Japan. And there's, of course, work going on in Tregs all over the world. And yeah, it's hard, you'd be hard pressed to find a university that doesn't have somebody studying Tregs in one way or another. But specifically the studies that I mentioned about the clinical trials, those have been part of, some of them have come from China, and large groups coming out of China, and particularly the one on liver, hepatocellular carcinoma, liver cancers, because that's a major work there, and also the work on ovarian cancers. But those are collaborations between universities in China as well as in the United States, such as MD Anderson and Baylor College of Medicine. And so there's work going on all over the world, to be fair, in this field, looking at Tregs. I mean, there's at my university, Emory University, all over the, Harvard, you name it. There are teams that are working on trying to apply our understanding of immune tolerance, and in whether it's in cancer or autoimmunity, what have you. So it's because this I mean, that's sort of the way Nobel Prizes work, is they award the prize for something that has been so fundamental that it really has changed the field, and driven, and it sparked lots of research all over the world. And so there's work going on in Tregs pretty much everywhere.
Thank you very much. Okay, and this brings us to the end of this webinar. We really thank to all of you who joined us, and special thanks to our speakers. It was a great pleasure to speak with you. We wish you all a pleasant day, and we hope that we will meet again in some of our future events. Goodbye, and thank you once again.